Hello and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. You're very welcome to our review show as we're looking back at the two senior semi-finals that took place over the weekend. Joining me to do so again is Stephen Cusack, and we're going to look back at Saturday's action first. That was Crossmaglen taking on Silverbridge in a winner-takes-all derby clash, and Crossmaglen got over the line 114 to 6 points. Stephen, to start a horrible night for football. You would feel sorry for both teams having to go out to play in those conditions. But Silverbridge had the big wind advantage in the first half, and you felt if they were going to have any chance of causing an upset, they needed to be using that advantage and going into halftime 4 or 5 points up. It didn't happen. They were 3-1 up at a stage. McConville and Rain O'Neill got 2 points. It was level at halftime, and it was always going to be all Crossmaglen after that.
Yeah, it was, as you said, Sean, it was a horrible night for two teams going to play football. It's probably whoever handled the conditions better. Playing against the wind was going to come out on top, but Silverbridge probably started okay, but in the first 5 minutes, turned the ball over 6 times by 4 fist passes and 2 kick passes, and no pressure really on the ball. Kind of just playing across his hands. Cross were set up well. It's a had to do, get bodies behind the ball playing against that wind, and Silverbridge just kept running the ball straight down Crossmaglen's throat, and Cross were happy enough, just kept coming out with the ball, especially James Morgan. He was coming out and making 20-30 yards every time he got the ball, and against that wind, with his strength going forward with the ball, it was a good bit of black for Crossmaglen to go on. Crossmaglen had a serious amount of opportunities in that first half playing against that wind, and you could just see how hard it was to score. The ball just kept coming back out. Kane and Rain was taking balls with everything they had and still wasn't making the distance. So you could just see on the night it just wasn't like good. It was going up towards the scoreboard and it wasn't an easy place to score it, But Silverbridge, I think it took them 9 minutes even to get their first shot on target, or even first shot on goal in, real free kick. I think it was from about 55 yards and knocked it over, and then from that resulting kick out, they got that goal chance that we knew they were going to get. Colin intercepted it and palmed the ball off the Rack, and then Rack just maybe didn't realise he had as much time as he did and palmed the ball over the bar. But only to get 2 scores in the first 10 minutes with that wind wasn't good for Silverbridge. They're kind of always going to be up against it. I didn't think they scored again until about the 25th minute in. So only getting 3 scores with that wind, as you say, Sean, probably 6-7 point win going in at half time, and not to have that cushion was always going to be difficult for Silverbridge to build on,
And just 2 points you made there. I want to get talking about James Morgan as well, because I think his role, he's been superb this year. But first off, that goal chance, and we spoke about it last week, that we felt there was goals in that Silverbridge attack, and there's also goals in that Crossmaglen defence if the right team can get them. How big of a, I'm not sure if it was a turning point, but how big of a moment was that for Silverbridge that if they had got that goal, maybe they were going to go 4 or 5 points ahead at half time?
Yeah, well, that's it. 10 minutes into the game, you get that early goal chance, and that only can give you confidence. For not to get that goal chance, they're probably questioning themselves then, and then you kind of go into, you kind of expect that win to go in 6 or 7 points, and 10 minutes into the game, you're only 2-1 up. You kind of force things. You're not relaxed as you would have been at the start of the game, and you could just see Silverbridge were panicking on what they were doing. They didn't really vary their attack. Everything was running down the middle. Cusack went in 2 or 3 times in the first half, but we thought they were just test the goalkeeper, test the fullback, they put a few balls in high. But the ball's going in low, and that was suiting Crossmaglen, and Cusack probably didn't want the ball in low. He wanted it in head into the 6-yard box. But there was no variation in their attack. It was all pretty mundane, going down the middle, and Crossmaglen just set up so well. And they have good defenders. They're always going to be hard to run through. So probably not getting that goal early on probably forced Silverbridge to go into a wee bit of panic and trying things really they didn't really need to be doing, They just had to get the scoreboard taken over. But it was a big chance in the game, Sean,
And James Morgan, Stephen, he's been superb this year at centre half back, and he's playing there maybe years gone by. He has wore the number 6 jersey, but had to do a man marking role or something. I think the only man marking role I can think of that he's done, he went and marked Stephen Campbell in the first game against Clonagale, and only spent probably spent the majority of the time in fullback, but Campbell come out as well, which suited Morgan. But his drive and runs have been just such a big inspiration for Crossmaglen this year, and the size of Morgan, he's very hard to stop once he gets going.
Yeah, it's probably he's probably tarnished with that man marking role for Cross, and people got to realise probably how good of a ball carrier he is. As I said, I'd say in the first 15 minutes he must have had 6-7 possessions coming out of defence, but every time he got the ball, he was making 20-30 yards, and you could see on the night how hard it was to get up the pitch with the ball, and making them 20-30 yards, kind of to the halfway line, the 40-50, and then Rain taking over from there. Finnegan looping around and Tony, he just popped the ball out, and that was his job done. But he was definitely a big help across the lane playing against us in the first half coming out on Saturday night. You know.
And the Crossmaglen kick out, Stephen, I want to talk a bit about it, and maybe Silverbridge's lack of being able to deal with it. It was very noticeable, and I think I did mention it when I was on Armagh TV on Saturday night. With the wind, Tiernan McConville was just pumping it out to Rian O'Neill. Rian O'Neill stands on the 45-metre line. He goes either way. There's space either side of him, and McConville, just if you put it 10 yards either side of O'Neill, he's going to get it. And Silverbridge seemed to go with Sean Conlon on him, which I thought was a very strange matchup. Like, not only physically, but height-wise, Rian O'Neill has all the advantages with that matchup, and it was just a strange. It happened once, and I thought maybe that was just happened during the game, but it happened a couple of times after that, and it was a strange matchup that Silverbridge decided to go to. But that kick out is hard to stop, no matter who's on Rian O'Neill.
It is, even when Tiernan would usually kick the ball across himself to his left hand side, out where the Armagh TV cameras were, and say that they're coming down the hill. As you say, Rian probably sets himself halfway line and makes a run out to the right. But even though you know the ball's going there, it's still hard to defend because he's such a good player in the air. But Silverbridge, you say Silverbridge put Conlon on, probably a big mismatch, to be honest. I don't know where Charlie was at that time or Carricker, but they were probably Farley and you'd Morris up there too. So it's kind of split in two between three, but definitely didn't get that right. Rain, the ball was like a magnet then in that first half. Although Charlie did get on his hands on a few balls, it was kind of the only player that was really involved around the middle for Silverbridge, because not saying that Carricker and Colin and whoever else was around there wasn't involved, but it just seemed to be always 10-15 yards after men. Tiernan 6-7 times in that first half. It's just like that ball out the rain on the left hand side the whole night, so it wasn't it's one kick down the field, and the rest is history, as I said. That's the way to build their attacks, you know.
It just suits Crossmaglen. It's pure Crossmaglen, that kick it out to the middle and kick it into the full forward line and get a score. But you mentioned Charlie Oak there, and I felt on Saturday evening Silverbridge maybe lacked ideas when they were going forward. They seemed to be doing okay till they got to about the 45-metre line, and then it was nearly like, okay, where's Charlie Oak's big bush through the defence? And he's obviously not fit to do that every time.
No, it's hard to do. You know yourself when you're playing the ball and you three around hanging out, you text your energy away. But when you're watching the game, you're seeing Charlie Oak make them runs. He's drawn 2 or 3 crossmen, and that's exactly what should have been happening. And when he's drawn 2 or 3 crossmen, that should be 2 or 3 Silverbridge men free. But it was like he was trying to do everything himself because there's no options there, and he ended up carrying the ball into trouble, and he ended up shooting over his shoulder 2 or 3 times. I think he kicked 3 wide in the first half, and he overcarried a couple, but he was definitely one of the only outlets Silverbridge had a run at them. Murphy and Keaton had a few runs, but they were just running into trouble most of the time. But you could just see the size maybe in the Crossmaglen players and Silverbridge players. The Cross were just kind of bottling them up, and with Kevin doing referee, Cross used that to their advantage. And as soon as they got a player bottled up, they were never getting out, you know. So.
And you made the point last week, Stephen, about the Crossmaglen trio, the 2 O'Neills and Cian McConville. that you nearly need to keep them to about 10 points. Silverbridge kept them to 12, which is perhaps good going, and it still wasn't good enough. But
no,
it's
Crossmaglen on the night. Crossmaglen on the night weren't that terrific. It's 114. They did kick a lot of wides. If you actually look at the wides and the chances they created, the shooting accuracy was probably down around 35%. Cross usually are around 50%, 60% shooting accuracy. So there's a lot of improvement for Cross to go there, but the amount of work them three boys went through on the night, it wasn't a great night for shooting anyway. It was a further win, so it was hard to get your eye in. But as I say, even keeping them boys to 12 points it's not the worst effort in the world, but still 12 points is 12 points in the semi-final of the championship. And when you're only scoring 5-6 the other end, that's probably scores, you know.
And did inexperience go against Silverbridge? Perhaps that's obviously the first time a lot of them boys have played in probably the first time they've all played in a senior semi-final.
Yeah, it's getting for the Silverbridge as a club to get the semi-final is not being there in a while. It's a great achievement. They are improving every year, so that will only help all them players next year and the year after going forward. But the first semi-final for all them boys, it maybe showed because they're often taken. There's just a lot of basic mistakes on the night, and you can put that down in conditions too. But they just lost a wee bit of composure in the game, and they just played in the Crossmaglen's hands. But as I said, they will learn from that there, and it's definitely a team that are improving year on year. So it says Silverbridge it won't be the last semi-final again, you know.
And we'll move on to the other semi-final, Sunday's semi-final between Eireann and Ballymacnab. And again, maybe a bit of inexperience against a more experienced team, but the inexperience come through this one. As a Ballymacnab man, Stefan, I have no problem saying that the best team won on the night. Eireann were super and had some super players, and we'll get into the individuals who were up for man of the match. Maybe the likes of Kelly, McCambridge, Daniel McGee got 2 goals and set up the third one. They had some super individual displays, but as I say, they were the better team on the day and deserved their victory.
They did. Eireann, the game kind of, I don't know if it went the way I thought it would go. Ballymacnab kind of changed the way we played a wee bit, but Eireann did exactly what we thought they did do. Well, would do, sorry. Eireann so pacey in that first 10 minutes, attacking Nab. Nab were leaving too much space in behind the midfield, and Eireann took full advantage of it. You just saw every time they're going to go forward, they're going to get a goal. The first goal was like a training ground. You could just see the way they worked the ball out of defence. McCambridge played the ball in the turbo, and then TK made that run off the end line. And then just if you go back to the Rat chance in the Crossmaglen match, the difference is McGee had to be a bit more composure and kept the ball low. The Rat kept it high. So that was a great start to the game for Eireann. And then not 2 minutes later, Cambridge got the ball half the line and just busted through the middle unchallenged and was going for a goal again, and only now by turning them, he just put the ball over the bar. But I was starting to maybe get a wee bit worried for Ballymacnab in the first 5-10 minutes and thought, geez, this might be a long day for them. But to be fair to them, every time Eireann got a goal on Sunday, Ballymacnab went down the field and got a couple of scores, so didn't make the goal look as bad, you know. But no, it was a good performance by Eireann, but there's still a lot of improvement there going forward, you know.
I'm just wondering, Stefan, is it Ballymacnab played with the wind in the first half, and is there a pressure there when you play with the wind in the first half that you have to be in front at half time, you have to use that advantage, or you're going to lose the game? Really, not that the wind advantage didn't have a big part to play in Sunday's game. It's certainly not as big as Saturday night's. But is there a pressure when you have that wind in the first half that you have to use it?
Yeah, you kind of get together as a group at the start of the match, depending on why you're playing, you say, right, we need to go in here with 4 or 5 points. And then you get that in the back of your head, and then when you're not that 4 or 5 points ahead, you maybe start to do things that you're not comfortable with doing. I think Ballymacnab's first 4 attacks was balls long until Jack. Shed won the first 3, I think. And then actually the third one was when Clanran got the goal. The ball was up in the net 20 seconds later. But not until Ballymacnab started running the ball into the Clanran defence did they start getting their scores. And then Jack came out the field a bit more. Basically, Ballymacnab played more or less the 15 men at the halfway line and run the ball. That's when Ballymacnab started to get a bit of success, you know. But as you say, when you do play with the wind, there is that wee bit of a pressure, but it's probably in the back of your mind. But it didn't really have a big burn on the game fully because it wasn't as strong as it was on Saturday night. But probably maybe a 1-2 point win, but nothing massive.
And them 2 goals in the first half, obviously, at Flannery, 2 points up. You felt that certainly when the third goal went in early in that second half, you felt they were going to push on and maybe win by 5 or 6 in the end. Ballymacnab do deserve credit. They come back into it. The momentum switch was huge, and it was Ballymacnab's 2 goals. Jack Rugan kicked over a couple of worldly scores, and to go ahead, to be behind, I think we were 6 down, to go ahead with 3 or 4 minutes left. I suppose they do deserve credit, having not played as well as Clanran to get back to that position.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As I said, every time Clanran went forward, you felt they were going to score a goal, and after McKeever's got that second goal, you were like, Jesus, I don't know how Ballymacnab's doing this game, but Ballymacnab went down and scored the next 5 out of 6 scores to go in at half time 10-8 down. When the third goal went in, probably thinking the same as you, but geez, that's a great start to the second half. But on that kick out, Gribble went up and scored the goal from a good pass from Rory. And not 2 minutes later, it was the other way about. Gribble played the ball into Rory, and Rory had a good finish. I think that made it a draw, did it? You know, so like the fair play to Ballymacnab, they never give up. They always probing and find different ways to get scores. And I think Rory and Jack, if they're always looking for them, is if they maybe one more player around the same caliber as them two, maybe if Gavin was playing, it might have a different story. But only having 2 players that kind of get the same 2 players on the ball the whole time, Clanran kind of knew where to really go and who to shut out of the game. But Ballymacnab, fair play to them, they never give up. And to go in front with 27 minutes gone in the second half was a credit to how they got it back into the game, and only for some decision making in the last couple of minutes. Who knows what could have happened, you know?
And that matchup of Rory Gugan and Ballymacnab, they probably were 2 candidates for man of the match, although they were marking each other. It was both of them had huge games, and obviously Rory I think he got 1-5. I think they both scored 1-1 from play. So it was a huge matchup, and it was interesting to see that they were both marking each other, but both decided to just play their own game.
They did, yeah. They both kind of played their own game, and they said, right, you mark me kind of thing. I get the better of you. And the first 10 minutes, Corey was the best down the pitch. He was getting on every ball. He must have had 6-7 possessions in the first 10 minutes. He scored a point. He was involved in the first goal. He got the second goal. So, like, but as you said, Rory just got himself into the game. He gave a couple of balls away, playing in the Jack in the first 10 minutes, but he got himself into the game, and he started maybe taking control after actually Rory got the second goal. You could see Rory was just they're starting to dictate the pace of the game a wee bit more. But the 2 of them definitely had 2 superb games. You know, they were in the end of everything for both their slumps. So, no, they're both a great games. Like.
And is it Clanran's running from deep that's their biggest strength, Stephen? Because we see talking about McCambridge and Kelly running, O'Carroll coming forward a couple of times, McCarthy. They have so many strong runners that it's hard for a team like Ballymacnab to stop them runners.
It is. It's well set up. That kind of the Becky Latham and Henderson sitting in front of Shea, and every time Ballymacnab kick the ball in, the Douglas players are asleep. But Ballymacnab were happy enough to have Becky Latham have the ball in the first half. He was coming out and making 60-70 yard runs uncontested away up the pitch, and then he was popping it off to Carroll, to McCandle. Guys with serious leg injuries behind him, you know what I mean? Henderson coming out with the ball too, but the 5 or 6 players who are very alike around that coming out of the defence for the ball. McCarthy very good coming out there too. You know, they're really running from deep, and Ballymacnab were leaving them wee pockets, and Clanran were really exploiting them. But Ballymacnab, they plugged in me gaps in the second half, and Clonard couldn't play the running game. Had to kind of kick the ball in a bit more, which didn't suit them, because Kennedy had Turbo kind of locked up there pretty good through the match, to be honest, after maybe 1 or 2 balls in. So that wasn't really an outlet for Clonard. So Clonard kind of had to run the ball. TK got a lot of ball, did serious damage throughout the match. But no, they've definitely come. The runs from deep they're strong runners, they're hard to pin down because there's not many of them kind of who can all run with the ball. There's not too many passengers in that team, so they're hard to pin down.
And Stefan, you've been there before with Mahari, that getting that big, huge semi-final win, getting into the first final. You could see at the full-time whistle, like the Clonard boys all hugging each other and the subs nearly running on. And it's a great moment for them, obviously, getting to senior final. I think it was the first one in 53 years, if I have that right. You done that with Mahari, getting into the senior final after such a long time. What's it like doing that, accomplishing that, and then having to go and you still have to go and win the final, of course?
It's relief. The first one's relief. There's so many. I think when we got that ours, it was like 31 years or something. So you always talk to the older players who just retired before you come into the team, and how good it is to represent your club in county final day and walking behind the band and all that there. You just want to experience all them things yourself. So when we got to our first final in so long, it was kind of relief and kind of like the pressure was off. So you're kind of just going into, because we had never won one before we got to our first final. I don't know if it was pressure to win one, but getting to that final was good. As you say, you could see McLaren the other day, when that final whistle went, you'd hear the roar went up, and you could just see the expression on the players' faces. It was kind of relief, but you had to kind of park that now and worry about that thereafter. It's a good achievement getting to the final, but you don't want to be people saying to you in 3 weeks' time, Clonard done well to get that final. You want to kind of build on that, But no, it's definitely for a town club. Clonard have a big pick, and they're a big club, So for 53 years, right, then getting to the finals, kind of maybe not underachieving, but they definitely should be getting to a few more,
And just before we finish up, it's obviously Cross against Clonard in 3 weeks' time. Two clubs that would know each other quite well from the underage, but at senior level, they met in the group stages in 2019, I think it was, and they met in 2015, I want to say 15 or 16 as well, and Cross won both quite easily. Not that will count for much. I don't think this team is on the crest of a wave at the minute. They've done it the hard way. They've beaten Mahari and Ballymacnab, the two teams that have caused Cross the most trouble over the last 3 or 4 years. How much are you looking forward to this stuff? And obviously Cross going to be the favourites heading in, as they always are. But Clonard, they won't fear Cross. They've beaten this Cross at underage levels. The likes of McCambridge, Turbo, Kelly have experience of beating Crossmaglen teams at underage level. And it's definitely one that we're going to look forward to now in 3 weeks' time.
As you said, there's probably players in both teams that have played each other minor level over the last 3 or 4 years. So they're pretty familiar with each other. As you said, the likes of Barry and TK and O'Char and Conville, all the boys have plenty of minor medals behind them, probably the same as the Crossmaglen boys. But it's going to be it'll be a different game from what we're used to. Crossmaglen, you know exactly what they're going to do, but you still have to stop it. Clonard will give Crossmaglen plenty of problems because they won't sit off Cross. They'll run at them and run at them because that's the only way they know how. It's going to be an intriguing game. It's going to be a very tough one to call, to be honest. It's Clonard got every chance there. They should be going in there hand confident. You say we're not easy beat, and Ballymacnab's not easy beat, and Green's weren't easy beat as. So they've come through the championship beating good teams. So that's going to give them confidence to get one more good team,
And as I say, we'll be looking forward to that with our usual build-up in 3 weeks' time. First of all, though, it's the junior and intermediate finals, and they're coming up on Sunday, and we'll be back with a podcast on Friday to preview both them intriguing ties. Don't forget, Player of the Week is also out, and to make sure to cast your vote for whoever you feel should pick up a Player Fit Player of the Week jersey. Stefan, thanks very much for coming on and discussing all the action from the weekend.
Well, Sean, thanks for having me again.